Recently, I built a real AI SaaS application using nothing but natural language, and I didn't have to write a single line of code. Everything was done through prompts. I just had to describe what I wanted to do, and I was able to get the AI to do it for me. And I've actually done a video about this, okay? The approach I use is what people call vibe coding, where you sort of describe what you want, and then the AI goes ahead to write the code, fixes the bugs, connects the services, and then helps you ship or deploy a working product. And honestly, it still feels a bit surreal. I actually released a full video breaking down the lessons I learned from building that AI SaaS application. So if you want to understand the entire process step by step, then I highly recommend you watch that video as well, because I go much deeper in there. But in this video, I want to talk about something different. I want to go specifically into the tools that are available, because there are so many tools out there, and if you're starting out, you want to build an application, you probably don't know which one to go for, right? At the end of the day, the reality is that not all vibe coding tools are created equal. Some of them are good at certain things than others. Some of them are built for different customer types. Some of them, for instance, are amazing at user interfaces, right? And some of them are better for, let's say, full stack applications. Some of them are good for, let's say, quick prototypes, MVP style. And others are also powerful enough to build you real production software. So then over the past few months, I've been experimenting a lot with these AI coding assistants, should I say. I've been experimenting a lot with them. So in this video, I really wanted to walk you through my top 10 vibe coding tools, what they are good at, and when you should use them, okay? Because I'm a big believer in something simple. Use the right tool for the right job. Otherwise, you're just going to end up wasting your time. So let me talk first about why vibe coding matters, right? Why are people switching now? Even developers, why are people switching now from like having to manually write code to using natural language? So before I really jump into the tools, I really want to quickly talk about why vibe coding is becoming such a big deal now. So traditionally, if you wanted to build a software, you would have to go through a really long process. If you are a software developer, you understand this, right? But if you are someone who is non-technical, then you know that you first needed to learn a programming language, you needed to understand the frameworks, you needed to set up databases, you needed to deploy infrastructure, debug errors. And for many people, that learning curve was just too steep. Trust me, like I did a 4-year computer engineering degree, and so I understand how this can be. Like you actually needed like so many years to learn, right? But what's happening now is that the AI coding assistants have changed the entire interface between humans and software development. So now instead of you having to write code directly, you are actually just now describing your intent. And so you see tools that allow you to just go in and explain what you want, and then the AI generates the entire implementation. That doesn't necessarily mean that developers disappear, because I'm on Reddit there all the time and people are like, there are a lot of bugs in vibe coded applications. But it just means that the barrier to building these things has dropped dramatically. And at the end of the day, it helps also like for business owners, founders, like they can prototype faster, product managers can build tools, creators can turn ideas into working applications. And that's exactly what vibe coding enables, right? But here's the key thing most people don't really realize when it comes to vibe coding, right? The tool you use, it matters a lot, right? So for instance, I use Cloud Code, and I'll talk a bit about Cloud Code, right? And it helped me greatly. Different tools solve different parts of the stack. Different tools are designed for different people. Some tools are meant to generate code. Some tools generate just interfaces. Some tools generate full applications, right? So you need to really know what you're trying to build first, and then you can decide on which tools you want to use. So let's break them down, the ones I use most or the ones I've tried. I'm going to give you like my honest opinion why I decided to eventually end up with Cloud Code, and maybe depending on the type of application you want to build, you may decide on a different AI tool or a different AI coding assistant. Okay, so let's get right into it. So the first tool I want to talk about obviously is Cloud Code, and I'm talking about that first because that is the tool I use, right? So I used that tool, and before using Cloud Code, like I had tried out so many other tools as well before landing on like using Cloud Code, right? So let's start first with Cloud Code. And honestly, I would say out there, like Cloud Code is one of the most powerful vibe coding tools available right now, right? I'm not even going to like lie about that. is one of the like powerful ones out there. Like I already shared in my previous video, I was able to do this app. I wasn't focusing on it 24/7, like because I had life going on. And so I was able to do this in less than 2 months, and I wasn't focusing on it 24/7. It was just like 1 hour here, 2 hours here trying to do it. And I was able to do that. And so I'll say that Cloud Code is really good. And honestly, it can really act like an AI software engineer inside your terminal. Or like I was using the Cloud Code on the web interface. I didn't even use like the terminal version. I just used the web interface because your girl, as much as I understand some technical stuff and all that, I just wanted something that's a lot more easier and everything. So this is the version I used. So I was basically just describing features, and then it was just writing the code. If I had to like make a change, maybe refactor a file or debug errors, generate architecture, or even run specific commands, I just used Cloud Code and it was able to do that for me. So I think what really makes Cloud Code special when it comes to all these vibe coding tools is that it's very good at understanding large code bases. So if you are building something more complex like a real SaaS AI product like this, then this tool becomes incredibly powerful. I must mention that there's a trade-off with Cloud Code. I mean, if you're using the web version like this, then it looks a lot more intuitive. But if you were going through the terminal and everything, then it's not the most beginner-friendly tool. You still need to be comfortable with, even if you're using the web interface, you still need to connect things like repositories, right? Like you see in here, my repo is connected. Like you need to do deployments. And I do have a course coming up on LinkedIn Learning where I walk through like exactly how to build a full stack application using Cloud Code, and I talk about different stacks as well. I also do have my Vibe Coding Accelerator coming up in March. So if you're interested in joining my Vibe Coding Accelerator, then I would encourage you to do so. The price is $1,499. So it's a 6 weeks Vibe Coding Accelerator. So by the end of it all, you should be able to sort of ship a real application by April 30th, and it starts on March 24th. And in that accelerator, I'm going to show you how to like deal with like repos and all that. I'm going to give you all the tea on how to do that. So I'd say that Cloud Code is great. You should be a builder. You should know what you're doing. Can be beginner friendly. Obviously, if you watch my course and you join my Vibe Coding Accelerator, then it's gonna be a lot more easier for you to navigate. But yeah, I think like you're using Cloud Code, you need to understand what you're doing. It'll be for like builders who want full control. Now let's talk about the next one, which is OpenAI Codex. And in order to access that, you can come into ChatGPT basically and click on Codex here. They have the cloud and the desktop version. So I actually have the desktop version installed on my computer. So let me see if I can pull that up here. So this is the desktop version. Initially, I was thinking of using Codex for my application, but I decided to stick to Cloud Code. So you can download it onto your computer, and if you have the interface this way, then basically it's also easier, right? Because you can ask it to build things like APIs, backend logic, integration scripts, and all that. And it's very strong at translating instructions into structured code as well. And one thing I'll say is that Codex really does well when it comes to developer automation. So for instance, you can ask it to build like a simple API that stores your messages in databases and will basically generate the backend structure almost instantly. So Codex is really good for backend logic and automation workflows as well. The next AI tool or the next AI vibe coding tool I want to talk about is Google Antigravity. And I do have a course on Google Antigravity as well on LinkedIn Learning. I'm going to show it on the screen so that if you are on LinkedIn and you want to also like watch like a beginner friendly course on how to use Google Antigravity, then basically I'll leave it on the screen so that you can watch it as well. But I do have a course on how to use Google Antigravity as well. It's relatively new, but it's extremely interesting because it's focused on agent-driven application development. And the thing about Antigravity as well is, unlike Codex and Cloud Code that only have just their models, Antigravity has like not just Codex. You can sort of prompt it to use other models as well, not just the Google models. Okay, so that's good. So when you're using Google Antigravity, like instead of just generating code, it can also orchestrate systems of tools and services as well. So at the end of the day, you're not just building an app, you're building AI agents that build app, right? So that's the main difference. And this is a different paradigm. It's less about coding files and more about orchestrating capability. It's still early, I would say, say, but it's definitely a tool worth watching. I'd encourage that you can also go on Reddit. I mean, there's a subreddit for Google Antigravity actually. So if you want to learn more about Antigravity, you can go on Reddit, search for Antigravity, and there are a lot of people building fun stuff on there as well. Now, the fourth tool I want to talk about is Replit. Replit is another tool many people love and many people talk about, and it's evolved so much, a lot over the past few years. Originally, it was just an online coding environment, but now it includes AI tools that can generate entire projects for you. And you can just describe an app, and then Replit can sort of create the foundation, the structure, run the code and deploy it. And what makes Replit great is also the simplicity and the fact that you can also do it on the web. You don't have to like download it as well. If you don't have a lot of like storage or capacity on your computer, you can basically use Replit on the web and it would work for you as well. Everything happens in one place, so you don't have to configure your environment. You just have to start building. And I think if you are just starting out, you are not a builder, you're not technical, maybe you may want to use Replit to start with, right? And in terms of the pricing plans, one thing I'm not sure is like if you deploy your app, like are you always going to be paying this monthly fee? Because when I use Cloud Code, for instance, like I know I'm paying for Cloud Code, but I'm not paying for Cloud Code because I'm building the app right now. My app is right now shipped, still have Cloud Code, but I'm using it for other projects, right? So this is one thing I'm not too sure. I think that even if you sort of like deploy your application and everything, like you're still paying for it because everything lives on Replit. So that's something you may want to consider. Like, are you looking to have like monthly recurring cost, or are you looking to like just build it and then host it somewhere and then you just pay for the hosting fees on that other platform? But it's really great for like if you're a beginner and you're starting out, and you definitely want to try out Replit as well. Now let's talk about Lovable. Lovable is very popular. There are a lot of apps online, like a lot of ads I've seen online about Lovable. And it's one of those tools that really embraces the idea of vibe coding. I know I've seen a lot of people complain online in Reddit and stuff like that. Like there are some nuances, and sometimes when you want to scale the app, that's where you start seeing a lot of issues and stuff like that. But I think it's great because it generates an interface and a logic for you as well. It's extremely beginner friendly, but the trade-off is that you have less control compared to like tools like Cloud Code. So I'd say that like you're a business owner, you want to prototype something quickly, then you may somehow just want to use Lovable because it's very helpful when it comes to like quick prototypes and experiments, and it's also beginner friendly as well. Now, the next tool I want to talk about is Bolt. Unless you're on Reddit a lot, or unless like you're in all these vibe coding groups, a lot of people don't talk about Bolt too much as they talk about, let's say, Replit or Lovable. But Bolt is another AI builder that focuses on generating full applications from prompts, and that's amazing, right? And what I really like about Bolt is the speed, right? You can go from idea to prototype very quickly, just like most of these apps as well. It's great for like testing product ideas or building internal tools for like your company and stuff like that. Again, though, like many automated builders, the deeper your requirements get, the more limitations you may encounter. So, for instance, looking at a pricing tier here, 0, 25, 30. But then again, because you don't have a lot of control, you are getting very complex requirements, then it starts becoming a bit limiting to use. But yeah, you can start for free. So I would recommend that you try it out and see if this is something that would work for you as well. Now let's talk about Bubble. To be honest, like I used Bubble before in the past. Like I mentioned before, I decided to go with Cloud Code. I decided to try Bubble. This platform here burned me so bad, and I wasn't happy about that because like they have a very funny pricing structure, and maybe I should have read the fine lines, but I didn't realize that like I was being charged for certain things. And as you can see, like their pricing structure really goes very quickly, right? You start with free, and then it moves to $59, and then it moves to $200, and it moves to $500. So this really burned me a lot when I started out. And so I just ran away from Bubble because of like the experience I had with Bubble, to be honest. If you look at like the pricing for Bolt, right? 0, 25, 30 custom. If you look at the pricing for Replit, free, $17.95. I see that like there's a huge jump here, fine. But if you look at Bubble, like they have like 5 different pricing tiers. So you'd think that there's a middle pricing tier here, but like, yeah, 59 to 200 to 500. I got burned, guys. So but Babel is still good. It's technically a no-code platform rather than like a pure vibe coding tool. But it absolutely belongs on this list because Babel allows you to build full SaaS applications using a visual editor. So that's good. And you can connect databases, design interfaces, and build workflows without having to write a single line of code. So that's great. When I was using Babel, to be honest, like because I'm used to no-code tools, it didn't seem too easy to use. Well, of course, like to which is its own. And now that AI can help generate automate logic and workflows. I'll say that Bubble has become even more powerful. I haven't tried it lately, but yeah, my first experience, it wasn't that easy to do. But yeah, I'll be happy to try it again. Maybe I'll have like a change of mind. I'll say that this is one of the best platforms if you want to build a real SaaS application without having to write code at all. Right. So that's good. Now, the next one I want to talk about is Base 4.4. So Base 4.4 is focused on building AI powered applications quickly. So again, similar to like Replit and all the other platforms we've talked about, Base 4.4 sort of provides a framework where you can connect AI capabilities with application logic. It's also particularly useful if you are building tools where AI is the core feature, right? So think of AI copilots, automation tools, or intelligent assistants, right? It's very helpful when you're building those type of things as well. And again, you can just describe what you want to build and it'll start building it for you. Let's look at the pricing tier here. Ooh, okay. It's so interesting because like all the other two starts with 0, but they have it on the other side. So the free says it's like, okay, you get the shocker, and then as you go down, like the shock reduces, and you're like, oh, okay, so you can get this for free. All right, so that's done. They have a free tier, they have a starter tier, they have a builder tier as well. Not too bad at all. I think this is also good. The ninth tool I want to talk about is Kesa. Kesa really is essentially an AI first code editor. So this is more tailored for developers, right? So if you're someone who writes code, then Kesa is more for you. Developers love it a lot because it integrates AI directly into their coding workflow, which is so interesting, right? Because it allows you to like, you can basically highlight code and ask the AI to refactor it, explain it, fix the bugs, generate new features. So I'm thinking of it like, let's say I generate my code with Claude and everything in GitHub and everything. Maybe I can sort of hook Kesa on for an additional for I check, who knows? But yeah, it's also very valuable. A lot of developers love it. A lot of the developers talk about it. So it's very popular amongst engineers who want to move faster while still writing some amount of code. Let me look at the pricing structure for a bit. Okay, so they have a free structure, Pro, and then Pro Plus, and then there's Ultra. So not too bad. I think the pricing structure is good. So far, it's just Bubble that has like this outrageous pricing structure. So now the last tool I want to talk about is Vessel, which is basically a VO.app, because there's also Vessel for like deploying applications and stuff like that. So Vessel VO, that's the final tool on my list, and it's incredibly good at generating user interfaces. Like if you want really sleek user interfaces, like really good front end, you want to use Vessel, you can just describe a component or the page and it will generate the production ready UI for you. And then you can pick this UI and plug it into your application as well, or your coding environment as well. And it works extremely well with like modern front end frameworks. So if you need to build interfaces quickly, then this tool is fantastic. Okay, so this is how I really think about this tool, right? I usually group them into 3 categories. So I was describing all these tools, like I talked about the fact that some of these tools are for builders, some of them are for beginners, right? So I have like the tools for like full stack builders. Okay, so if you're trying to build like a full stack application, front end, back end, API, everything, database, then I would say that go with Cloud Code or go with Codex or go with Replit, right? These 3 vibe coding tools would help you build full stack applications. Now, if you want to prototype rapidly, then I would recommend that you use a tool like Bolt, Lovable to do that. And then like if you're really focused on high-end UI, like UI generation, then you can use the Vessel VO. And because that's very fantastic when it comes to front-end UI generation. And then you also have tools that I mentioned like Babel that allow you to build entire SaaS products without having to touch code at all. And so this is why I always say this, okay? Just use the right tool for the right job. Don't try trying every tool, unless of course you're an explorer like myself, but just make sure that you're using the right tool for the right job. Otherwise, you're just going to end up getting frustrated, because at the end of the day, vibe coding isn't about using one tool. It's about combining the strength of different systems. Okay, so if you are curious about what I personally use, I already talked about it. I use Cloud Code. I also do have my vibe coding accelerator coming up in March, so you can sign up for that, and I'm going to walk you through the entire process. I have my course coming up on LinkedIn Learning as well, so you get to see like how I built my application or like the reasoning behind it. Okay, we are really in an interesting moment right now in software development. So for the first time, building applications is becoming accessible to almost anyone who can describe an idea clearly. And the impact this has is massive, okay? Over 10 years ago, I was working as a software developer, and I remember those times just like a comma could just frustrate me because, guys, like if you're a developer, you're an engineer, you know how this changes things, how this changes the game, right? But these tools, they are evolving really quickly. Today it's gonna be Cloud Code, tomorrow is gonna be Lovable. The greatest of them all probably hasn't been birthed yet, right? So these tools are evolving extremely quickly. New ones are appearing every single month, right? So the key skill isn't just learning one platform, which is why even on my YouTube channel, I'm diversifying. It's learning how to think about building systems, okay? How to choose tools, how to connect them together, how to ship products that actually work. So if you're exploring vibe coding right now, you're trying to build an app using natural language, then just drop it in the comment section below. Like, which tools are you using? Just let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to see the full breakdown of how I built my SaaS application using natural language, then you can also check out my video, like I mentioned previously as well. Also, if you want to see the app I built, is adesina.ai. If you sign up in March, I'm going to upgrade your user to the pro version so that you can try out the AI functionality, which is cool as well. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do subscribe to my channel. And as usual, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.